You guys want to hear something funny? Haha, me either. No, I'm joking. So a few days ago, I was riding around taking care of responsibilities, right? So then I was going to stop at Dairy Queen to get a Blizzard. And the Lord was like, go and talk to that lady across the street. And I looked, and there was a homeless lady sitting in the middle of the street, like in the median part of the street. And it was a very busy area. I mean, very busy area. So I went to Dairy Queen, grabbed my ice cream, and also grabbed her chicken finger basket or whatever they call it. And I was like, you know what? Let me grab my chair and everything and just pull up and go sit and talk to her like God said. And so I get over there, I hand her the food, and I laid my fold-up chair, because I keep them in the back of my car, and I laid my ice cream down so I can use my hand, because I like to use my hands when talking. So I put that down and I began to talk to her. We began praying. She asked for healing, and she asked for a place to live. And after I prayed for her and we got to talking, we started, just talking about life in general. And I asked her, how is life, doing what she's doing? Like, how does that, take a toll on her mind and stuff like that? So we were talking about all of that. And the funny part is that, so I came over. I was telling her, I said, I came over, to come and just talk with you and pray with you and whatever else. And I said, I also bought my chair to sit and talk with you. She said, She said, no, you can't sit here. You're going to mess up my money. Go down there and sit. When I tell you guys, that thing was so funny to me. She was like, nah, girl, go up the street somewhere because you messing up my money. And I couldn't even be mad at her. It was so hilarious. I just kept laughing and talking at the same time. I couldn't stop talking because I love, talking with people. So that was so funny. I said, how you going to kick me off of, this place and tell me to go sit over there? She said, She just kept saying, no. So I was like, okay, no problem. I'll go ahead and leave. I said, is there anything you need before I go? And I was like, make sure you eat your food and stuff like that. She hid it behind her. So the thing is that, if they seen me sitting there talking with her for so long, people would have thought that I was supplying everything that she needed. And then, by me already giving her the food, other people driving by wouldn't have given her any food, as was what I was gathering from that. So she didn't even have to say that. That's what I was gathering. And so before I left, I said, is there anything else I can do for you? Anything else you need? Do you have a place for tonight? Do you have a place to lay your head and stuff like that? She was like, yeah, we have enough money to get a hotel and stuff for tonight. And as I was leaving, I was like, I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and head out. But she pointed up the street and she said, hey, can you grab that bag over there for me? It's my bag. And she was in a wheelchair, and she was like, can you bring it to me? I said, if I go touch that bag and the cops jump out of nowhere thinking I'm stealing, who gonna help me? And I was like, are you sure it's your bag? She was like, yeah, it's my bag. If you look, she was like, I have cardboard boxes and a pillow over there. That's why I was sleeping. She said, can you just get my bag and bring it closer towards me? So I ran across the street, got her bag and bring it back to her, and then I ended up leaving. So it was so funny, the fact that she said, nah, you can't sit here. You need to go on over there somewhere because you messing up my money. That was the funniest thing here. Funniest thing. So I'm going to just read Matthew 25 and 35, what Jesus speaks about helping others and not to judge people no matter what situation they're in, no matter what circumstance they're in, to never judge their situation. It says here in Matthew 25 and 35, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. So this verse is basically, it highlights the acts of compassion towards the needy, right? Excuse me, you guys. And it's about serving, it's about giving, it's about, it's really the core principles of who we are as believers, right? Even in Jesus, during his ministry, let me see if I can find it real quick. The scripture where he says, even foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the man of God or the Son of God doesn't have anywhere to lay his head. Jesus was expressing to them, or to the man that came to him that asked, what should I do to follow you? And I'm paraphrasing. And that's what Jesus said. He said that, and Jesus was basically emphasizing that he is homeless. Like, are you willing to do what it is that, you know, scripture says to do in order to live like Jesus did, in order to, you know, do God's will, right? We have to be men and women who not just say that we're believers, or say that we're Christians, but we never do any kind of acts of service or any kind of compassion, any kind of generosity, right? Any kind of the fruit of the Spirit being displayed through us in our serving, right? So yeah, that was so funny to me. And I did a different video where it was where I was explaining how I was homeless for a while, not on purpose, but I was led to sell everything so God can shift me in a different direction. And God began to use me. So I know what it's like to not have a home that you wake up to every single day. I know what it's like to not have a clean shower. You're going different places to shower, you're going different places to lay your head, or wherever God's leading you. Like I experienced that as well. Not saying that God is saying he doesn't want none of us homeless, but if it was something that he wanted to get out of me, I was willing to do it. You know what I mean? So if there's things that God is wanting you to do that's going to cause you to not only get closer to him, but it's just obedience and faith. Like how rooted is your faith in him, right? So I too had experienced that as well. Again, not on purpose. I mean, not forcefully, but I was led. It was a purpose behind God doing that, right? God would do whatever it takes to wring out everything in our hearts that will cause us to come away from him, or cause us to not remember him when things are going great, when things are going wonderful, right? You know, so I just thought that was funny. All right, bye.